Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:07 on a super busy Thursday morning. Thanks for letting us be a part of your routine. Coming up in 30 minutes, KT McFarland on the upcoming Trump-Putin meeting in Alaska. It's Larry O'Connor alongside Bethany Mandel. Good morning, Bethany.
Good morning. I'm so glad that I've made it through so many hours with you and that I'm in the home stretch.
Well it's going to be a big hour, though, this final hour, as we kick things off with the Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia and your nominee for governor for the Republican Party. She is, of course, Winsome Earl Sears. Good morning, Lieutenant Governor. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, WMAL listeners. Beautiful day, beautiful day.
It is, and it's great to talk with you. And I know that you're busy campaigning, so thanks for carving out some time for us. Well, there's a lot going on here in Northern Virginia, especially, Governor Youngkin, you joined him yesterday in calling for the state police to investigate what happened at a local high school in Fairfax County, where it appears, based on reports, that the administration facilitated the abortion for 2 minors without informing the parents, without even attempting to inform the parents, and somehow paid for it out of school funds. This is a violation of multiple laws. I'd love for you to react to this and also comment on the fact that your opponent seems to be just fine with this kind of thing.
Oh my God. Just when you think it can't get any worse, it in fact does. Your underage daughter cannot even get an aspirin without your say-so, and yet the very thing we fear is probably based on what we're hearing. Now, we don't know for sure, so that's why we're calling for the investigation, that someone took her for an abortion at the school, possibly used our tax dollars to do so. So we have got to get to the bottom of this. I am just so beside myself when I talk about this, because it is unfathomable to me that anybody in the school system could take it upon themselves to do that to my child. My child. What country are we living in? And By the way, where is my opponent, Abigail Spanberger, to say it is not right? She has 3 girl children. Would she allow that?
It should be so easy. And, I keep hearing people describe Abigail Spanberger as a moderate, a pragmatic Democrat, not like those crazy left-wing liberals and AOC and stuff. But I got to be honest, and you know your opponent better than I do. Can you name one policy position she has that is in any way contrary to the Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, AOC, Bernie Sanders wing of the party?
Well, see, this is it. She has voted with Biden and Pelosi just about 100% of the time. And excuse me, but how can it be moderate for you to vote for sanctuary cities? So the criminal, illegally immigrants here, you voted for them to stay. You voted for open borders so that fentanyl would continue to come across the border and kill 5 Virginians every day, males more than females, and by the way, black males 1.5 times more than white males. How is that possible that could be moderate? And then you're voting to increase taxes. I want to keep as much money that I make, and then you vote against parents' rights to know what's happening in the schools. But wait. You see, she voted for what's happening now. She voted for schools to act independently of parents and never tell them anything. So don't believe what she tells you. Believe her voting record. And she's been hiding behind it, but she can run, but she can't hide.
So you just accepted CNN's invitation to participate in a debate. Do you have any confidence that they're going to ask these hard questions of your opponent?
Well, judging by the reception that they gave me with Manu Raju, it was awful. You think that you are going to be talking about certain things, and the only thing they want to talk about is the gotcha question. And so you're wondering, okay, so this was an ambush. I do not expect this of CNN. But, you have to deal with the cards that you're dealt, right?
Yeah.
And So you go in and you bring your common sense policies and you try to get a word in edgewise about what that is, because that's what the people really want to talk about. They don't want this gotcha stuff. They want to know, how is your policy going to help my child learn? And how is your policy going to keep me safe? For example, are you going to get rid of qualified immunity and defund the police? Because if you do, then none of them are going to stay. How are you going to make sure that jobs are going to be created? Because you're going to get rid of regulation. You're going to have mega site pads ready so that they can just come and build and move right away. How are you going to make sure that their taxes stay low because they have options to go to all these other states? How are you going to make sure that they, we have fertile ground here? Well, I'm going to do that day one as governor of Virginia, and that's why I'm asking for your support. All this other stuff is noise. It's nonsense. Get to the meat of the matter.
We're speaking with Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears. She, of course, is the nominee for the Republicans to be governor. And sadly, we do have to spend a lot of time talking about Abigail Spanberger because she doesn't do much media. And if she does, it's not an interview. It's like a full body massage. We just got some reports on her funding. She's got a lot of money, Abigail Spanberger does, but not much of it from Virginia. In fact, the majority of her campaign contributions are coming from D.C. and other states. Only 44% actually come from Virginia. And, of course, we know about the $50,000 that comes from somebody connected to the Chinese Communist Party. Should there be further inquiry into exactly who is buying this governor's seat?
You think that we should be looking into it and figuring it out? I mean, the Communist Chinese Party, where in the world? What are we really talking about? She knows that it's illegal to do that, so I'm calling on her right now to send that money back so that they don't think that they have a foothold, the Communist Chinese Party in Virginia. But forget that, in America, period. That's why we've got to make sure we know who we're voting for. Who is she going to serve? And, I have in my donations almost $2 million raised just from the $5 and the $10 and the $15 donors. And, it warms my heart because these are people who can ill afford it, and yet they say, I want to do something. And that's why I know we're going to win, because even the polls, our polls are showing margin of error. And don't believe me, at least this one time, the media, the mainstream media should believe my opponent, Abigail Spanberger, because she says this race is now a toss-up. And yet we have the mainstream media telling us that I am down by double digits. Why do they say these things? It doesn't make any sense.
We know why they say these things. Yeah. Is there any action that, I know it kind of borders on Banana Republic stuff to take action, but if she is taking money from the Chinese Communist Party, is there anything that can be done besides just, alerting people to the fact that she's on this payroll?
Well, an investigation has to be launched, and, by the time all that is done, the election will be done.
Yeah,
and,
that's how they do it.
We will win because we have the common sense ideas. But in the meantime, we've got to let the people know, look, she is not for us. She is for herself. And the media, the mainstream media, is helping her. When I'm on the record as saying I am going to get rid of the car tax once and forever. We tried to do that this year. It was in the budget. But you know what? Her side of the political aisle took it out of the budget. So she needs to consult them because they're not going to let her do it. But I will. I'm going to get that done, and I'm going to get other taxes off as well because it's time and we have the money.
She is a first-generation American. Her family hails from Jamaica. She is a retired Marine. She is the lieutenant governor, and now she's running for governor. She is being outspent by the Democrats from across this country. So if you want to help out, go to winsomeforgovernor.com, winsomeforgovernor.com. As you just heard, $5 is plenty as long as enough of you contribute $5. In any other race, if you had a D at the end of your name, Madam Lieutenant Governor, you would be on the cover of Vogue magazine. You are everything that America wants to celebrate and positive. But I know you don't care about that. You just care about doing what's right for the people of Virginia. So we appreciate you joining us. Don't be a stranger. This is the home stretch now, and you got to rally the base, and WMAL is the base.
Well, absolutely. And again, it's all about common sense, and that's what we're trying to push home, because I'm looking at, for example, her economic plan, and just about everything she puts in there, what she's going to do to help veterans, we're already doing it. We've been doing it. We've been doing the work. Where has she been? She's been in Congress, voting against us, forcing us to join a union if we don't want to. That's not freedom.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. We got to leave it there. Always great to talk with you. There's tons of stuff we still want to get to, so we'll have you back soon. Thank you very much. And, of course, the invitation is wide open for Congresswoman Spanberger. We'd love to talk to her. It's 8:17.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
I want to say it was about 2 weeks ago when Bethany Mandel was here sitting in that very chair, grooving along to the 80s jam that we like to play, just like she is right now. And we talked about your fine op-ed piece that you wrote on the foxnews.com, I believe it was, about your experience bringing your children to the Smithsonian's in D.C. And instead of seeing American history and some of the great American story that you see from the Smithsonian's, you were inundated with woke climate change garbage and exhibits like that, right?
Yeah, no, it's wild. So we went to the Natural History Museum. My kids they're homeschooled, so they're big nerds, and they wanted to see the dioramas. And so we went to see the dioramas, and every single poster board on all the walls were basically about how we were going to become extinct like the dinosaurs.
There you go.
Because of climate change.
Because of SUVs, yes.
I was about to say that. Because their mom drives a giant SUV, and so we're all going to pay the price. And,
that's right. Not only are we going to be extinct, but it's mommy's fault.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. So,
I think someone was listening at the White House, Bethany. Why don't you tell us what's going on now with the Smithsonian?
So, very excited. So, on par of, and this is exactly what I asked for. I said, you've done to the Kennedy Center with Grinnell what needs to happen at the Smithsonian's, and now we're seeing it. So the Smithsonian's announced that they're forced to reevaluate their exhibits and everything that is forward facing prior to America 250. And so we're going to have millions of Americans coming into the nation's capital, and we are happy to be American. We are privileged to be American, and they're going to go into these Smithsonian's, and all they're going to see is the negativity and the anger and all of this divisive content. And so President Trump said, not on my watch. We are going to make sure that people feel happy when they leave the Smithsonian's as they did when they walked in.
Yes, as the great Dennis Prager calls it, they're not going to get the proctologist's view of America. Yes. Well, listen to how NBC News wrote up the exact same story that you just relayed. This is by, the byline, Yamich Alcindor, so I think you have an idea. The White House is conducting an expansive review of the Smithsonian's museum exhibitions, materials, and operations ahead of America's 250th anniversary to ensure it aligns with President Donald Trump's view of history.
I mean, so I wrote that column right before or right after the 4th of July, and I was talking to someone who's sort of an expert on all of these exhibits and everything, and he said, go to the website right now for the American History Museum. It was July 4th weekend when I went. Yeah. Nothing. It was so negative and so divisive that I was like, do you guys know that it's America's birthday this weekend?
No, they don't. Well, and here's why. Because the people who run the Smithsonian, they were corrected in their thought process that July 4th was when our nation was born with the Declaration of Independence. You see, it's all about 1620. It's the 1620 Project.
Yep.
And that error-filled history lesson that the New York Times financed, and that's why Donald Trump in March put forth this executive order saying that he wants museums to reflect unity, progress, enduring values that define the American story, and, as he put it, restoring truth and sanity to American history. Because American history is not a subjective thing, and to just reorient everything and say, nope, it's all about slavery and it's all about, the Japanese internment and all that. Yes, we have bad things in our history, but it's not the entirety of our history.
And the people who are making the effort to come here, I mean, these are museums that are paid for with our tax dollars. So we want people to go. But if people come here and they're brought down and it's just really depressing and demoralizing, they're not going to go to the they're not going to continue going to the museums, and we're wasting our tax dollars. We want to give the people what they want, and what the people want is rah-rah America.
That's a big part of what they want. Yeah, as Stephen Miller put it, and we'll just close it out with this because he just posted moments ago, the Deputy Chief of Staff. The Smithsonian is supposed to be a global symbol of American strength, culture, and prestige, a place for families and children to celebrate American history and greatness. Instead, the exhibits have clearly been taken over by left-wing activists who have used the Smithsonian as yet one platform to endlessly bash America and erase our magnificent story. These activists have obscenely defaced the beloved institution, and the Trump administration will proudly and diligently restore the patriotic glory of America and ensure the Smithsonian is a place that once more inspires love and devotion to this nation, especially among our youngest citizens. Amen, brother. It's 8:23. All right, coming up this weekend in Alaska, face-to-face, the Donald and the dictator. Trump faces off with Putin. What's at stake? Well, possibly peace in the Russia-Ukraine war. We'll get details from KT McFarland coming up next.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
8:37 now on O'Connor and Company, and we're going to hand it off to Chris Plant coming up in 30 minutes. But we've got a little bit more to handle here. It's Larry O'Connor with Bethany Mandel, and we're joined by KT McFarland. Bethany, say hi to KT.
I'm so excited to talk to KT. She is brilliant, and
yes, she is.
I think that every Thursday of mine should involve a conversation with her, whether she.
It generally does. She's a regular on Thursday.
I know.
Good morning, KT. How are you?
Good morning.
Well, the face-off is planned in Alaska this weekend between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Take a listen to what the president said yesterday while he was engaged with the media at the Kennedy Center.
Will Russia face any consequences if Vladimir Putin does not agree to stop the war after your meeting on Friday?
Yes, they will. Yeah.
What will the consequences
There will be consequences.
Sanctions, tariffs?
There will be, I don't have to say, there will be very severe consequences, yes.
That's pretty unequivocal. And boy, talk about raising the bar for expectations. Basically, that's the president saying this meeting will result in a ceasefire and an end of these hostilities, or there will be severe consequences. Were you expecting that?
Yeah, and here's why. I've been thinking, racking my brain about why is Donald Trump so successful in all these negotiations when previous presidents have really failed to do it. And I realized that Donald Trump, because he approaches things like a businessman and a real estate developer. So if you're a real estate developer, get in that head. Okay, all you have up front are costs. You have to buy the land. You have to hire the guys who are going to work. You need the raw materials. A lot of stuff could go wrong. Bad weather, union problems, political problems. So you've got two things you got to focus on. You want to get this deal done as fast as you can because time is money. And secondly, you got to improvise, and you got to keep improvising. And so I think Donald Trump goes to every meeting that he has, including the one tomorrow, with, I'm going to improvise. I got plan A, I got plan B, I got plan C. And when he says, well, we'll see what happens, or I don't know, it's not because he doesn't know. It's because he doesn't know which plan he's going to have to do. And so when I think about, okay, so what was the whole plan about Russia, Ukraine? he was thought his charm and personality would bring both Zelensky and Putin to the table. Didn't work. That was plan A. So on to plan B. Plan B was to use economic pressure to get them to the table. Well, it worked with Zelensky because we promised a rare earth minerals deal, and we also said, look, we're going to not give you military equipment unless you go to the table. So Ukraine, Plan B worked with Ukraine. It did not work with Russia. So we're on to Plan C. Plan C, they're meeting tomorrow. And either it's going to be clear that President Putin just wants to drag this on, he's kind of playing for time, or he really wants to have a genuine good faith negotiation. And if he doesn't want to have a good faith negotiation, we're on to Plan D. And Plan D will be these serious, really crippling economic sanctions.
So there was that really, really interesting Zelensky moment in the Oval.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorite moments. What do you think, do you think that Zelensky has learned any lessons from that? And what do you think his sort of posturing will be with President Trump going into this, both in front of the cameras and without them rolling?
Well, first of all, there's no difference between cameras rolling and cameras not rolling. President Trump says the same thing in public as he does in private.
I was more thinking Zelensky, but yeah.
Well, so it certainly happened with Zelensky. I think Zelensky's waiting to see, like everybody's waiting to see, what's President Putin going to do, hard way or easy way? And if President Trump walks in and realizes, okay, I've got everybody lined up, but not Putin, and Putin stalls, stiff arms, whatever he's going to do, I think President Trump walks out. And then he goes the hard way. And the hard way is, so what we could do is, if there are two things we could do that would just crush Russia's economy. First of all, we control the international banking system. And think about it this way. Larry, let's say you want to write me a check for something.
Yeah.
Anything. And that check has to clear the bank. And whether it's you or it's Putin or any other countries, it's got to clear an American bank. Everything is done in dollars. So the United States could just say, okay, Russia, you don't get to cash any more checks in an American bank, which means you don't get in the international banking system, you're kicked out. The other thing we could do is these secondary sanctions. We've already started with India saying, you buy Russian oil, then you're going to pay a real penalty. And so we convince the countries that buy Russian stuff not to. And that bankrupts Russia because they don't have any income other than really they're selling their oil and natural gas. I mean, maybe caviar and vodka, but that doesn't bring in much.
Yes, well, it depends. If I'm buying it, it's not going to be cheap. No, that absolutely makes sense. And by the way, just to go back to something, I should point out, KT has written a really, really thoughtful and intriguing column about Trump's Putin strategy. It's at foxnews.com. He recently said, I think it was 3 days ago, that he'll know within 2 minutes if Putin is serious or not, and if he's not, he'll walk out. Is that something you've observed from Trump as well? And, could this be a Reagan-Reykjavik moment?
Oh, completely a Reagan-Reykjavik moment. Probably less polite, though. No, here's the thing. When I was sitting down as Deputy National Security Advisor, sitting down with the Chinese counterparts, preparing for a Chinese-American summit, and the Chinese, all they wanted to do was, let's get this point settled, let's get that point settled. And I said, whoa. Donald Trump wants to meet the guy first, the decision maker, meet him first, come to some understandings, and then guys like us, the staff guys, will work out the details. But most presidents, they have the staff work out the details. So by the time the two leaders meet, everything's already been decided. You just smile for the photo and shake hands.
It's the opposite.
And here it gets on its head, turned on its head.
Interesting. I'm sorry, KT. We're up against it, as you know. But real fast, I know this may be challenging for you since you're a red, white, and blue gal. But if you were advising Putin right now, if you were part of the Kremlin team, what would you be telling Vladimir Putin on the eve of this meeting?
Do a deal now. You're never going to have another chance. Do the deal now. You're not going to get everything you want, but you'll get something. You get enough to live with. And because if you don't do the deal, you're going to face economic, Siberia.
Worse than it already is. All right, KT, we got to leave it there. We'll be watching, and we can't wait to get your assessment next week. All eyes will be on Alaska, where, by the way, I don't know if you know this, you can actually see Russia from Alaska, or certain parts of it. Thank you, KT. It is 8:44.
Making sense of your world.
Thank you for what you do.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
You give me hope.
Making sense of the news.
the truth is, in fact, out there. And Representative Anna Paulina Luna is, well, revealing some of the truths she has learned, heading up a subcommittee in the House on, well, lack of transparency and some secrets that the government might be keeping about certain things. You know, she's a former Air Force member. I want to say, I don't think she was a officer. I apologize. She's airfield management specialist. She oversaw airfield safety, efficiency, coordinated flight operations with F-16 pilots. And she says that she saw some strange stuff while in the Air Force, and she shared some other things with Joe Rogan. Take a listen.
Like, what kind of evidence have you seen?
I have seen photos. I have seen...
what have you seen photos of?
So I was in a skiff, and I can't discuss all that was in a skiff, but what I can tell you is based on the photos that I've seen, I'm very confident that there's things out there that have not been created by mankind.
It seems crazy that people have access to information that shows that there's something outside of us that is more intelligent, at least more capable than we are, and they hide it from everybody else.
Do you remember... I mean, I always come back to the Independence Day movie.
Yeah.
When that scene where they were like, "Why didn't they tell us?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, actually, we have like an entire hangar of evidence that we've been sitting on."
Plausible deniability, right? Yeah.
But what's wild over the last few years is that they're actually saying it very openly, and no one seems to be listening.
Some people are saying it openly. Well, to check out the full episode, I obviously keep an open mind, I suppose, about such things, and I don't really want to jump to conclusions, but she says she's seen photos. She says that she's not at liberty to say what they are, as you just heard. She says that there was a football field-sized red cube that flew over Vandenberg Air Base, witnessed by hundreds of people.
What?
I'm just telling you.
I am here for it. I just need a lot more information.
Yeah. Me too.
You okay?
Listen, I'm fine with it. It doesn't affect
me.
I don't care. It doesn't affect me. I only care if there are people on other planets if they're trying to kill us. Other than that, it makes no difference in my life.
Really?
It doesn't affect. No, really.
I am so invested.
I'm not. If God created life forms on other planets for his own purposes, then that's fine. All I care about is why I'm here on this planet, what my responsibility
How
here
can
is.
you be apathetic about aliens?
I don't know. I guess it's my faith. It doesn't change my life one way or the other. I mean, other than maybe changing my vacation plans, you know. I mean, it's 8:52.